can't do this, I screamed, pounding on the locked basement door. This is my wedding. Oh, sweetie, Margaret's voice dripped with fake concern through the door. You look so tired. Just rest down there for a bit while I handle everything. Let me out now. The reception started 20 minutes ago. Don't worry, I'll tell everyone you had a little breakdown. Pre-wedding jitters, you know. So common with girls like you. My mill locked me in basement during my own reception. Hi, I'm Indigo. Today I'm going to tell you my story. But before I continue, please like, share, and subscribe to hear more stories like this. When I met Ethan at a charity art auction 3 years ago, I thought I'd found my soulmate. He was kind, funny, and actually listened when I talked about my passion for sustainable architecture. What I didn't realize was that marrying him meant marrying into the Pemberton family, specifically his mother Margaret, who believed no woman would ever be good enough for her precious boy. The red flag started small. Margaret would accidentally forget to invite me to family dinners, then act shocked when Ethan brought me anyway. She'd make comments about my unusual name, my mixed heritage, my career choices. Indigo, what kind of name is that? She'd asked at our first meeting. Were your parents hippies or something? My grandmother was an artist, I'd explained patiently. She loved the color. How bohemian, Margaret had replied, her nose wrinkling like she'd smelled something bad. Ethan always defended me, which I appreciated, but he also had a massive blind spot when it came to his mother. She just needs time to warm up to you, he'd say. She was the same with my sister's husband. His sister Claire pulled me aside at our engagement party. Actually, she wasn't. Mom loved Derek from day one. But then again, Derek came from old money and had the right pedigree. What's wrong with my pedigree? I asked. Claire looked uncomfortable. You know, you're self-made. First-generation college graduate. Your parents own a food truck. Mom's very particular about the family image. The wedding planning was a nightmare. Everything I wanted was too exotic or not traditional enough for Margaret. She tried to veto my dress choice, too modern, my venue selection, too urban. Even my maid of honor, my best friend Keisha, was too outspoken. Why don't you let me handle everything? Margaret suggested sweetly. I planned Claire's wedding, and it was featured in Town and Country. Because it's my wedding, I said firmly. Not yours. Her smile turned icy. Of course, dear. I'm just trying to help you avoid embarrassment. Not everyone understands how these things should be done. The real sabotage started a week before the wedding. Vendors began calling with confusion about orders. The florist thought I'd changed my mind about the arrangements. The caterer had notes about different menu selections. Each time they mentioned speaking with Mrs. Pemberton about the changes. Your mother is trying to hijack our wedding, I told Ethan after the third incident. I'm sure it's just miscommunication, he said, but I could see doubt creeping into his eyes. I'll talk to her. Whatever conversation they had only made things worse. Margaret called me crying, saying I was trying to turn her son against her. After everything I've done for you, welcoming you into our family, despite... Despite what? I challenged. Nothing, she sniffled. I just want what's best for Ethan. The morning of the wedding, I should have known something was wrong. Margaret was too nice. She brought me tea, complimented my hair, even said my dress was quite lovely, actually. I want to apologize, she said. I haven't been fair to you. You make Ethan happy, and that's all that matters. Relief flooded through me. Maybe we could have a good relationship after all. Thank you, Margaret. That means so much. Call me Mom, she said, hugging me. Now, I notice the photographer wants some shots in the wine cellar before the ceremony. Such a clever idea, with all those vintage bottles as backdrop. I frowned. I didn't arrange any wine cellar shots. Oh, you must have forgotten. So much going on. Come, I'll show you. It'll only take a minute. Looking back, I should have been suspicious, but I was trying so hard to believe she'd changed. I followed her down to the venue's wine cellar, my wedding dress rustling on the stone steps. Where's the photographer? I asked, looking around the empty basement. That's when I heard the door slam shut, the click of a lock. I ran up the stairs, nearly tripping on my train. Margaret, the door's stuck. You can't do this, I screamed, pounding on the locked basement door. This is my wedding! Oh, sweetie. Margaret's voice dripped with fake concern through the door. You look so tired. Just rest down there for a bit while I handle everything. Let me out now! The reception started 20 minutes ago. Don't worry, I'll tell everyone you had a little breakdown. Pre-wedding jitters, you know, so common with girls like you. Then I heard her heels clicking away. I was trapped. My phone was upstairs with my bridesmaids. The basement was soundproof, apparently. Wine needs quiet. I pounded until my fists hurt, screamed until my throat was raw. My beautiful dress got covered in dust and cobwebs as I searched frantically for another exit. Meanwhile, 3 floors up, my wedding was happening without me. Later, I learned the full scope of Margaret's plan. She told everyone I'd had a panic attack and was resting. She suggested they start the ceremony without me. Indigo would want us to enjoy ourselves. But Ethan refused. Thank God for small mercies. My maid of honor, Keisha, was the first to get suspicious. Where exactly is she resting? She demanded. In the bridal suite, Margaret said smoothly. She asked not to be disturbed. Keisha knew me better than that. I'd never miss my own wedding, anxiety or not. She went to check the suite, found it empty, and raised hell. Where is Indigo? She confronted Margaret in front of everyone. I told you, she's not in the suite. I just checked. So where is she? Ethan's face went pale. Mom, what did you do? I don't appreciate your tone, Margaret huffed. Your bride had a moment of clarity about whether she's really suited for this family. Where is she? It was Claire who figured it out. The wine cellar. Mom mentioned something about wine cellar photos earlier. Ethan ran. I'd never seen him move so fast in a tuxedo. I heard the thunder of footsteps on the stairs, then his voice. Indigo? Baby, are you down there? Ethan! I sobbed with relief. Your mother locked me in. Stand back from the door! He didn't have the key, but rage gave him strength. He shoulder-checked that solid oak door 3 times before it splintered open. I fell into his arms, mascara running, dress ruined, bouquet long abandoned. I'm so sorry, he kept saying. I'm so sorry. We emerged to find the reception in chaos. Half the guests were searching the grounds. The other half were watching Margaret try to justify her actions to an increasingly hostile crowd. I was protecting my son, she declared. That girl isn't right for our family. She's a gold digger, a social climber. I make more money than Ethan, I said quietly from the doorway. Everyone turned. I have my own architecture firm, 3 employees. We just landed a contract for sustainable housing development. So tell me, Margaret, what exactly am I digging for? The room went silent. Margaret's face cycled through several shades of red. You turned him against me, she sputtered. No, Mom. Ethan stepped forward. You did that yourself. What happened next was better than any revenge I could have planned. Ethan's father, Robert, who'd been quietly drinking in the corner all day, finally spoke up. Margaret, we're leaving. Now. But Robert, now. You've humiliated us enough. As they left, the rest of the pieces fell into place. Ethan's Aunt Patricia, his mother's sister, approached me. This isn't the first time, she said quietly. 30 years ago, she did something similar to Robert's sister at their engagement party, locked her in a pool house. The family covered it up, said it was a misunderstanding. We should have stopped her then. My parents had been frantically searching for me, too. My mom, all 5 feet of her, looked ready to physically fight Margaret. My dad had to hold her back. Nobody puts my baby in a basement, Mom seethed. Nobody! The wedding was obviously ruined. Half the guests had left in the chaos. The cake sat untouched, the dance floor empty. But then something beautiful happened. Keisha grabbed the microphone. Excuse me, everyone. I know this isn't how anyone expected today to go, but Indigo and Ethan deserve their moment. So if the bride and groom are willing... She looked at us. My dress was destroyed. Ethan's tux was ripped from breaking down the door, and we both looked like we'd been through a war. But we were together. What do you say? Ethan asked me. Want to get married anyway? Just like this? I laughed through my tears. Why not? It can't get any worse. So we did. Right there in the reception hall, with my ruined dress and his torn tux, surrounded by the guests who'd stayed. Ethan's cousin, who happened to be ordained, performed an impromptu ceremony. It wasn't legal. We'd have to do the paperwork later. but it was real. My dad walked me down the abbreviated aisle. Keisha stood beside me, shooting death glares at any Pemberton who looked sideways at us. Even Claire stood with us, having publicly chosen sides. "I'm done enabling Mom," she announced. "What she did was unforgivable." In his vows, Ethan said, "I promise to never let anyone, family or otherwise, treat you as less than the incredible woman you are. I promise to stand up for you, to believe you, and to never minimize your feelings. I failed at that today, but I swear it won't happen again." The reception after was weird but wonderful. The DJ, bless him, had stuck around and started playing music. People danced in their search and rescue clothes. The kitchen staff, who'd heard everything, sent out round after round of sympathy shots. "To the bride who survived the basement" became the toast of the night. But the story doesn't end there. Margaret, it turned out, had made one crucial mistake. The venue had security cameras, including one in the hallway outside the wine cellar. The footage clearly showed her leading me down, then locking the door and walking away with a satisfied smile. "We could press charges," the venue manager told us apologetically. "False imprisonment is a crime." I was tempted. God, was I tempted. But Ethan had a better idea. "Let's send the footage to everyone on the guest list," he suggested. "Let them see what really happened." We did more than that. The video somehow, thanks Keisha, ended up on social media with the caption, "Mother-in-law locks bride in basement during wedding." It went viral. Margaret became the face of toxic in-laws everywhere. The Pemberton family image she'd protected so carefully? Destroyed. She was kicked off every charity board, banned from the country club, and became a social pariah in their circle. Even her book club abandoned her. "It's worse than prison for someone like her," Claire told me. She lived for social status. Robert filed for divorce 2 months later. Turns out, this was the last straw in a long line of Margaret's controlling behavior. He'd been documenting things for years, waiting for the right moment. "I should have protected you," he apologized to me. I knew what she was capable of, and I said nothing. "Why didn't you?" I asked. He looked ashamed. "She made me believe it was normal, that all families had their quirks. It took seeing her do it to you, seeing Ethan's face when he realized what she'd done, to finally wake up." The divorce was brutal. Margaret tried to claim she'd been driven to desperation by my manipulation of her son. But with the video evidence and testimony from multiple family members about her past behavior, she didn't have a leg to stand on. She lost the house, half the assets, and most importantly, her children. Ethan went no contact immediately. Claire limited interaction to major holidays, and even then, only in public places. "I can't trust her," Claire said. "What if I have kids? What if she doesn't approve of who they marry?" Margaret tried everything to get back in our good graces. She sent flowers. We donated them to hospitals. Wrote letters. We returned them unopened. And even showed up at my office once. "Security," I called calmly. "Please escort Mrs. Pemberton out." "I'm your mother-in-law," she protested. "No," I corrected. "You're the woman who locked me in a basement on my wedding day. We have no relationship." She tried therapy, or claimed to. Sent us a letter from her therapist about her progress. Ethan burned it without reading. "She doesn't get to therapize her way back into our lives," he said firmly. The universe wasn't done with Margaret, though. Remember that sustainable housing development I mentioned? It was being built on land that included her former country club. The place that had been her second home was being turned into affordable housing for young families. The irony was delicious. Even better, the community center in the development needed a name. The investors let me choose. I named it the Unity Center, with a plaque reading, "Dedicated to all families bound by love, not blood or status." Margaret found out when the local paper did a feature on the groundbreaking. There was a photo of me, hard hat on, standing where her tennis court used to be. The reporter asked about the name choice. "I've learned that real family accepts you as you are," I said. "They don't lock you in basements, literally or metaphorically." The reporter laughed, thinking it was a figure of speech. Margaret knew better. She made one last attempt at contact on our first anniversary. Showed up at the restaurant where we were dining, dressed in black like she was in mourning. "Please," she said, "just 5 minutes." "No," Ethan said simply. Please leave, or I'll call the police. I'm your mother. My mother locked my wife in a basement on our wedding day. My mother tried to sabotage my happiness because she didn't approve of my choice. My mother showed me that DNA doesn't make family, choice does. And I choose indigo. She left, but not before making a scene that got her permanently banned from that restaurant too. Her world kept shrinking, one burnt bridge at a time. Meanwhile, our world kept expanding. We had a proper wedding ceremony a year later, small, intimate, with only people who truly loved and supported us. My parents catered from their food truck. Keisha officiated. Claire was Ethan's best sister. Not a Pemberton in sight, except the two who'd earned their place. Any basements in this venue? Dad joked during his speech. We checked. Ethan laughed. Twice. We bought a house last year, nowhere near the Pemberton estate. Our neighbor is lovely Mrs. Chen, who brings us cookies and doesn't care about our pedigree. She does ask when we're giving her grandchildren to spoil, but that's normal neighbor stuff. You know what the best part is? I told Ethan recently. I'm not angry anymore. I actually feel sorry for her. Really? He seemed surprised. She's lost everything that actually matters because she couldn't let go of things that don't. She chose status over family, image over love, and now she has neither. We heard through Claire that Margaret lives alone now in a small apartment. She still tells anyone who'll listen that I ruined her life, that I turned her family against her. But fewer and fewer people listen. Even her old society friends have moved on to fresher gossip. The security footage from our wedding became part of a documentary about toxic family dynamics. We agreed to participate, sharing our story. The interviewer asked if I'd forgive Margaret if she genuinely changed. She'd have to actually change first, I said. Not perform change, not claim change, but really examine why she felt entitled to control her son's life, why she believed I was beneath her, why she thought locking me in a basement was acceptable. And honestly, I don't think she's capable of that kind of self-reflection. What about you, Ethan? The interviewer asked. Could you forgive your mother? He thought for a long moment. Forgiveness isn't the same as reconciliation. I might forgive her someday for my own peace of mind. But let her back into our lives? Risk her doing something like this to our future children? Never. The documentary aired last month. We got messages from hundreds of people sharing their own toxic in-law stories. It was heartbreaking but also validating. We weren't alone. Margaret, predictably, threatened to sue over the documentary. Her lawyer dropped her when he saw the security footage. Hard to claim defamation when there's video evidence. You can't do this, I screamed, pounding on the locked basement door. This is my wedding. Oh, sweetie, Margaret's voice dripped with fake concern through the door. You look so tired. Just rest down there for a bit while I handle everything. Let me out now. The reception started 20 minutes ago. Don't worry, I'll tell everyone you had a little breakdown. Pre-wedding jitters, you know. So common with girls like you. Those words still echo sometimes, but they've lost their sting. Because I know what she meant by girls like you. Girls who didn't come from old money. Girls who worked their way up. Girls who dared to love her son without seeking her permission first. But here's the thing about girls like me. We survive. We thrive. We build beautiful lives with the people who actually love us, not despite who we are, but because of it. Last week, we announced our pregnancy. We're having a girl. And I promise you this, she'll never doubt for a second that she's loved, valued, and enough exactly as she is. She'll know that family isn't about bloodlines or bank accounts or having the right name. It's about showing up, standing up for each other, and never, ever locking someone in a basement. Margaret found out through social media. Claire said she called crying, begging for a chance to meet her granddaughter. Tell her this, I said. The only basement my daughter will ever see is the finished one in our home, where she'll play safely with parents who protect her from people who would hurt her, especially relatives. So here's my question for you. If someone showed you exactly who they are through their actions, would you give them another chance just because they're family? Or would you protect your peace and choose the family that chooses you?